Good morning. A lot going on for me this morning. Been awake over an hour already and spent a good deal of time in the meditation room observing thoughts. I'm told by some people that being the observer and watching your thoughts and paying attention to your thoughts is not true meditation. That true meditation can only be the silencing and the quieting of the mind. And that may work for some people. And I certainly have quiet spaces in between some of my thoughts. But in general, my meditations are contemplations, periods spent as the observer. And one of the things that has been coming up for me quite a bit in my life, in workshops and in interactions with other people in some of the groups that I'm in, well, let me give it a title. This is the title that I had selected for this morning's talk. Do unto others, the golden rule, is not a command, it's an observation. From a limited human perspective, the golden rule may sound as if it is a command, which in some ways it is. However, from the higher perspective, it is merely an observation as to how we humans conduct our lives. We do unto others exactly as we do unto ourselves. I've seen it again and again in my life. The things that I have a tendency to react to with strong emotion, either positive or negative emotion, I come to learn as I expand my consciousness to embrace different ideas, especially the idea that everything is a mirror of myself. I come to realize that these things that attract my attention and call for my response or my reaction are things that are in me. Especially, as I said, things that I am strongly moved by on an emotional level. Where I get the things I get passionate about are things that are going on in me. So when you hear me getting passionate about the state of the world, I am being passionate about the state of my own consciousness. Because truly, what I perceive in the world is what is going on at the soul level or at the subconscious level inside of me that is impinging upon my consciousness and making me aware of itself. That's what's happening in this ninth wave as we become aware of the interconnectedness of this with that, of the polarities actually coming together, and you're seeing the link. Those of us that are open are seeing the link between the inner and the outer, between the divine and the human, between the masculine and the feminine, between the light and the dark. We're seeing these links, and we're somehow being miraculously graced to be able to form a synergy between them, or to see the synergy that's already there, and to integrate the opposites into a more holistic union where the opposites literally dance with each other. I'm finding less and less resistance in myself to the idea that the things that I hate are things that I hate about myself, things that I have not overcome insofar as they still push my buttons and call for reaction rather than careful response. I'm moving from reaction to response. But the point that I'm trying to make is this: how I have judged others are judgments that have to do with how I see me. This is the lesson that my higher self is trying and succeeding in getting me to comprehend and to understand that this is how the universe works. It truly is all mirrors, because there really is only one thing happening, and that is God. That is what we term the Creator, and the creation is the expression of the Creator always. So what's going on in me is going on in creation, the world around me, and is coming from the Creator, as the Creator is knowing itself, and here I am using the word it, in a non-personal way, although I have a strong tendency not to want to do that, because I don't like the concept of an impersonal God. I like the concept of a personal God, because to me, impersonal anything, a straw man doesn't even exist, and it cannot love, because a straw man is a legal fiction. Just like an impersonal God to me is a fiction, because if God is love, love cannot be impersonal. That doesn't mean to say that God doesn't love everything equally. I believe that that's true, that God loves every one of us just as any other. There's no one that holds a special place in God, although I'm sure it thrills God when his children wake up, as God must be thrilled right now that many of us are waking up and seeing that this golden rule thing is, it's coming home to us, that that's really how it works. We do exactly treat others as we want to be treated. I've seen people that rail against, they're constantly disease conscious, for example. Their germs are everywhere and out to get them and trying to make them sick. And so some of these people that I have known take extraordinary precautions to stay healthy, do all sorts of things to keep themselves separate from the germs. And I have noticed, as an observer, that these same people are the ones that get sick the most. They work the hardest at staying healthy and get sick most often. Interesting, isn't it? Interesting. While people like myself, who are less conscious of the germs, who see that everything is happening for my good most of the time, I don't get sick very often. You won't hear me saying, hardly ever, and not for a long time, "Oh, I think I'm catching a cold." You won't hear me say that. Why? Because I consciously make a choice not to catch something. I consciously make a choice, because I realize that whatever I'm thinking and feeling in here and giving agreement to is what's going to ultimately show up in my life. And I'm sure there are applications of this that I haven't even totally comprehended yet and understood even yet. I'm still learning. I'm still going through this, as many of us are. We're going through this process of awakening in this ninth wave. And it's an interesting process, because it is not a bunch of rules that are being thrown at us. Do unto others as you would have others do unto you. That's a nice rule. It's certainly not one that many people keep. As a matter of fact, the golden rule has been distorted. He that has the gold makes the rules. And who has the gold? What is the gold? Representative of purity? Lots of questions are coming up, and I'm being challenged again and again by things that I observe in my life and in my world. And as I meditate and contemplate responses, I am challenged more and more and more to think from a place of love, to feel from a place of wholeness and unity. And I believe that is not only my salvation, it is the salvation of the entire world. And it's coming from inside of me, for me. And it can't help but ripple out to those whose lives I touch, in whatever way I'm able to touch them. Whether it's your life listening to these daily videos and watching these daily videos, or whether it's people I interact with at the pod and other groups that I'm a member of and part of, or the things that happen right here at the Mary Horgan Center, people that cross my path here and come here for my help, or come here to provide comfort and nurturing to me. All of these things are happening, and I observe, and I take it home, because to me it all has meaning. It all has meaning in this ninth wave. So I want you to think that, I want you to get the idea that I'm getting, that we're not living by commands and rules anymore. We're living out of our heart. And we are learning to conduct ourselves by observing how we treat ourselves and realizing that the mirror is how we treat others. The things that are pushing my buttons are mine, period. They're mine. And I must own them and take responsibility for them. And I firmly believe that every negative aspect of me is a part of me that's been wounded and is crying out for my love. Will you love me? Fear is saying. Will you love me? Anger is saying. Will you love me? Injustice is saying. Will you love me? Will you love the dark as you claim to love the light? And when I can love the dark and the light, because I am love, then I will have transcended the polarizations in my world, for I will have transcended them in my thought and in my feeling. I'm not completely there yet, but I can see that that's the direction I'm going, and I can see that I seem to be getting it more than I've ever been able to get it before. And I'm grateful for this, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to have several hundred people at least on a daily basis that I'm sharing my insights with as we grow together in this ninth wave that I'm convinced will bring sweeping changes to the world that we know as we create heaven on earth and as God's will to establish the kingdom on earth comes into fruition and manifestation in 2011 in this ninth wave in the evolution of consciousness. I leave these thoughts with you this morning, and I bless you. Namaste.